Greetings, everyone. Hope all of you are having an absolutely fantastic day. We're back again with more Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. Let's get right back into this playthrough. Want to check my gear real quick. We definitely want to go ahead and pick up that bag of holding. Oh, this is the one that adds a DC for all the will saving throws, right? I'm going to go ahead and give that to him. I'm really hoping somewhere in the game is a scythe that's meant for necromancers. I've never seen one in the beta, but I just gotta believe that there's somewhere hanging around here, and I'm just haven't been blessed with the opportunity to see them yet. Max dexterity, he can't wear armor anyway, so that doesn't matter. Once per day, you can choose any skill and roll this token, get a +5 circumstance bonus to the chosen skill for 1 hour. He'll take that. He does not need all these. Cool. And is there anything else special? Did we get any, no recipes, no anything like that? Okay. Now, first and foremost, let's make sure we get this bag of holding this time. Don't screw that up again. We can't use that, right? Yeah, we can't use any of this. What's this again? Ooh. Seems like somebody should be able to use this. But no, considering who we have, yeah, nobody's going to make use of this. Oh, well. It is what it is. That. Come on. This. What? I didn't. There we go. Definitely don't need you. No. Did I show you all this? Grace of Peace. +1 cold iron cookery deals an additional +2 damage against undead creatures. Definitely don't need that. Don't need extra damage towards undead around this piece. And bulk selling. Okay, and let's scroll down. Where is that? Yes. We will take that bag of holding. Thank you very much. Hey, did she already? Okay, so we need that ring too. Let's get you that ring, girl. Yes, ma'am. Show me what you're selling. Icy Protector. Awesome. Get that. So, we took the... show you how that works. We took the Ice Plant Hex as our first hex with her character when we had a level up. And this is going to give her an additional +2 natural armor bonus to AC, along with giving her some cold resistance. The cold resistance is virtually irrelevant. The +2 armor bonus, very nice, especially for this part of the game. So definitely well worth getting that for her. And now let's start introducing ourselves to some new folks. The elf in front of you is young, still an adolescent by the standards of their long-lived folk. A childish, carefree smile plays on her face, and her wandering eyes linger on you for just a moment before darting off again into the distance. Terrible scars cover her body, and a few of her fingers are missing. A crow sits on her shoulder, observing you with its clever black eyes. Tell me about yourself. Well, they call me Ember. I used to live in the River City, and now I walk with you. That's my story. Why do they call you Ember? I've had many names. When I was little, Mom and Dad called me Dove, or Cricket, or Kitten. Dad called me his ray of sunshine. And when my mom was cross, she called me by a long name, a grown-up one. I can't remember it, no matter how hard I try. Then, when I came to live in the River City, the good people called me different funny names, like Ember, or Torch, or Smoky. I don't know why. They called me Bird Brain because I have a crow. They called me Lucky 7 because of my fingers. The girl raises her hands. The middle finger on her right hand and the 2 smaller fingers on her left are missing. They sometimes called me Grilled Meat and said I was stupid. But I didn't feel hurt. I mean, they're right. I really am silly. They didn't mean to hurt me. How crazy cruel do you have to be to call someone grilled meat because they have burn marks on them? Woo! Some of you people really deserve to be invaded by demons. That is awful. I like Ember. It's a good word. Embers are like people. On the outside, they're gray and cold like stones, but they're warm inside. You can blow on them and they'll start a fire to help you survive a cold night. And that's wonderful, isn't it? Ember it is. Where are you from? Far away from the flower country. The girl gestures vaguely off into the distance. It's so beautiful there. Everywhere there's flowers blooming, golden towers, and waterfalls. And everyone is like me, with pointy ears. There's no round-eared people, nor short ones, no horned heads. We live there together, me and Mom and Dad. Mom and Dad argued a lot. Dad used to say that all the good people should go on the crusade and fight the demons. And Mom said he was silly because it was so far away and none of our business. And that he shouldn't abandon his child. She meant me. But he didn't abandon me. He took me along. He said I was born the same year that the hole to the demon world opened. He said it was a sign that I would be one of the heroes who close it. Of course, I'm not a hero, but I'm here anyway, helping as much as I can. Where did you get your scars? It happened by accident. My dad and I came sailing down the river to join the crusade. Dad said that all the good people were going to the Worldwound to heal it. He said that the Crusaders were the best in the world, and together we were going to win. But when we arrived at the river city, the Crusaders got everything mixed up. They thought my dad and I were bad and decided to burn us at the stake. Dad died, and I cried so loudly that one good night realized it was all a big mistake. He started yelling at the other Crusaders, even the one in charge, and then walked right into the fire and got me out. The others wanted to stop him, but he took out his sword and scared them away. The kind knight took me to a healer. I later learned that while the knight was pulling me from the flames, he himself was burned so badly that he died not long after. But I'm still alive, a few fingers missing, and my skin is funny. I've lived in the River City ever since. I never had my own house, but I had many friends. And then the demons came, and I met you, and you know what happened after that. Lawful, and that lynch mob called themselves Crusaders? For shame. People always call themselves pretty words, as if calling oneself a paladin or a commander is enough to stop you from being a poor, frightened sinner. The girl shrugs and smiles, but there was one true knight there, and the others came to their senses at last. Do you worship any deity? The girl shakes her head with an unfailing smile. Dad taught me to pray to Iomedae. He said she was a kind goddess, and she called people to crusade against evil. The knights who burned my dad and me worshipped her too. They even lit the fire with a prayer to her, and she did nothing to help us. But then one kind knight, alone, without any gods, changed his mind and saved me. I think the gods are the same as us. They don't understand anything, and they're scared of everything. So they hurt themselves and the rest of us. People worship the gods only because they are afraid of being responsible for themselves. And the gods listen to the praise and they become smug and arrogant and begin to believe that they're better than us, but they're no better. They're just silly sinners, just like the rest of us. Sometimes I pray to the gods, different ones, the good ones, the bad ones. I ask them to stop fighting and hurting each other. I don't know if they ever hear me, but if they do, the knight who wanted to burn me, he was able to change his mind and do a good deed. If he can change, maybe Baphomet can too. How did you survive on the streets? The elf shrugs. There are many good people in the River City. When I sang for them in the street, they'd often give me coins or bread or sometimes even clothes. I shared everything with the other homeless, and they showed me where it's safe to sleep, where I could get out of the rain and cold, where I could find discarded things. When the demons destroyed the river city, I looked for my friends, but I found no one. They probably all died. The homeless have no supplies or weapons or basements to hide in, and the knights won't protect them either. Knights are like gods, so self-important. They're saving the world after all. What do they care about the homeless? Still smiling, the girl shrugs. Where do your magical powers come from? These tricks? I had them from my grandma. She used to be my father's grandma, and before that, his father's. I've never seen her myself, but she's very clever and kind. When I lived on the street, sometimes she left food for me or a blanket in the winter. Sometimes I feel her stroking my hair as I fall asleep, but if I open my eyes, there's no one near. She also sent me soot. The girl scratches the crow's beak and the bird grumbles happily in response. She tells Soot how to do different tricks, and Soot teaches me. It appears that the girl doesn't know who exactly gives her these powers, but you can guess from her words that her patron is Andaletta, a powerful archon, one of the Imperial Lords, also known as Grandmother Crow. Thank you for your answers. Oh, not at all. I didn't really tell you anything. You're always so cheerful. How do you manage to remain so hopeful when we're surrounded by such horror? Hope? The girl tilts her head and continues with a smile. No. Hope is a lie. What should we hope for? This world is in the hands of demons. The gods can't help, or they don't want to, or they forgot about us altogether. The people know they're about to be eaten by demons, but still they quarrel with each other and fight and steal. There's no hope, only us. We'll have to win without hope. It will be hard. The entire abyss is against us. We can only win by some miracle, which means we'll have to make one happen. What other choice do we have? We'll work a miracle and win because we have to. The elf smiles broadly and nods to herself. I have to go. So go. The elf watches you with a radiant smile as you leave. We'll circle back to Darren. Skip over him for now. The blind elf looks better than he did in your last encounter. His clothes are clean and his pale face has some color. The elf turns to you and listens closely. Is that you, my savior? I recognize your footsteps, determined footsteps, befitting a determined person. Allow me to thank you again for saving me. Please accept this humble gift as a token of my appreciation. The elf hands you a small black ring with 2 scarlet runes on it. Irabeth has explained why you were looking for me. I warned the authorities of Canabras that the local wardstone had been desecrated. They waved off my warning and paid for their inaction. I have examined many wardstones, but only the one guarding Canabras did I sense a flaw, a spot of corruption inside, a vulnerability the demons will surely use. They are able to spread the blight inside the wardstone, corrupt it, and make it their weapon. It frightens me to think what it would be capable of. The wardstone must be destroyed. Who are you, and why did they let you examine the wardstone? The elf smiles faintly. I am the Storyteller, just an old elf, and a bit more. I am old even for an elf. I've seen many things and have been to many places. Not so long ago, I witnessed the making of a young kingdom in the Stolen Lands, led by a remarkable and promising individual. My advice on the complicated matter of conquering those lands proved useful to that leader. For those who didn't play it and are not aware, he's referring to Pathfinder Kingmaker, which was the previous game to this sequel. This is not uncommon for me. Some seek my advice or services, and I don't refuse. This is how I acquired my reputation as an old vagrant who's never hurt anyone, stayed out of other squabbles, but sometimes gave good advice. I had a few friends in Neurosian who vouched for my integrity. This is why my humble request to be allowed to see the wardstones was granted. I visited all of them, but only found cause for alarm in Canabras. Do you wield some special magic power, some instinct? The Storyteller chuckles. Yes, to a certain extent, but it is more of a gift. I can see the past, stories that have happened. I touch an object, and shreds of its owner's memories are revealed to my mind. Their emotions, passions, and tragedies. I see visions like I am them, and their stories happen to me. This is my power. I've been roaming the world gathering such stories for many thousands of years. One day, I will gather them all. What blight is concealed in the wardstone? I'm afraid I don't have the answer to your question. To understand the nature of this blight, we need to understand how the wardstone was created, and it is hidden from me. I can only guess. Have you heard of the Red Morning Massacre? A dreadful morning remembered with fear even by those not yet born at the time. A demoness called Monago invaded the city with a crowd of her followers and started to do what demons do best: kill and desecrate. They say they covered the wardstone with pieces of dead bodies, splashed it with blood from top to bottom. Could such an abomination darken the radiance of the gift of Iomedae herself? The locals think this is impossible, but who knows? It is not the last attack. Many demon leaders brought their unholy forces here, even the terrifying Baelor Karamzada. Their attacks were rebuffed, but they still reached their target. I think this is when the seed of corruption was planted in the stone. It wouldn't have grown on its own, but Deskari himself has now come to take advantage of this weakness, to open the abscess that has been festering for years, unnoticed by the people of Kenabres. And when the Demon Lord struck the blow, the weakened stone gave in. Now it's in demon hands, and nothing is stopping them from spreading the blight throughout the entire stone, and from it to the other stones along the whole perimeter of the Worldwound. Why did you travel to the Wardstones? I tried to see their stories. The visions I had when I touched the Wardstones were unclear. I saw hundreds, maybe thousands of different stories at the same time. They followed each other like flashes of lightning. It was impossible to separate them. I couldn't understand where one of them ended and the next began. I have heard you, Storyteller. In that case, you must make every possible effort to destroy the corruption. Unfortunately, I don't know where to get an instrument powerful enough to banish it from the Wardstone. As far as I know, there is nothing like it in Kenabres, but the demons might have something. I heard the dying roar of Terendelev, the silver dragon, the protector of the city. At the same time, I felt a wave of unfamiliar power sweep over me from head to toe. I would advise you to go where Terendelev perished and search there for something. I'm sorry, I can't be more specific, but intuition and a strange sense of rightness tell me to point you there. Present the purple stone knife. I found it in the square where Terendelev perished. What do you make of it? The Storyteller reaches out and says softly, "Even from here, I can feel strange energies emanating from this object. If you don't mind, I will examine it using my method. I will try to see the past of its owner, their emotions, and shreds of their memories. Maybe it'll help us better understand what we are dealing with." The Storyteller touches the knife, his fingers clamping around the hilt with a hungry, masterful grip. His face contorts into an evil grimace, his voice disgustingly raspy. "Hunger. My many legs brought me into the lair to my mother's feasting hall. Her swollen body overfilled with food is so huge that I have to look at it with all of my eyes at once. On top is her scrawny little head with a long beak that is always yearning for more food." You feel feverish, and your chest, where the mysterious wound is concealed, feels hot. Your mind is flooded with a wave of visions that repeat the words of the old elf. Mother greets me with a placid screech. "Stupid, greedy wretch, whose only achievement is my birth, a creeping, wingless creature. It's your fault I have no wings, a symbol of greatness, a birthright I should have received from my mighty father." Mother points me to a crowd of whimpering subjects, suggesting I fortify myself with their pathetic flesh. Not today. I summon my spawn and they fly to me, enveloping me in a teeming cloud. Like dark, buzzing wings, they unfold behind my back and lift me up. Mother has always been stronger, but she did not expect this. I dive on her and rip her limp, bloated body with my claws. Ichor splatters, the bone spurs on my heels sink into her flesh. I clench her pitiful tiny head and tear it off along with the shreds of meat. Victory! I am the strongest. I am the son of my winged father. The elf grimaces with distaste. His voice becomes normal again. Appalling. Stories like that are the most difficult ones to keep with me. You know, I've read this story 2 or 3 times, and I'm only just now realizing I think this is Deskari. This is the story of Deskari murdering his mother and rising eventually to be a demon lord. Wow, what a piece of work. All right, moving on. Did this knife belong to a demon? The storyteller opens his mouth to answer, but a sudden spasm crosses his face. A new vision, a much stronger one, engulfs the old elf. The malevolent undertones vanish from his voice as he grows more determined and tired. Even looking at the ward stone is difficult. Despite the corruption nesting in it, he still has an aura of strength. Your fingers clench the stone held so tight it hurts. A little spot on the flawless surface of the ward stone draws your attention. It looks like a butterfly. Corruption in the guise of something utterly harmless, but it will grow. You swing and stab the butterfly with the knife as hard as you can. Your fingers cramp painfully. A howl invades your ears. Light, white light everywhere. The stone knife falls from the old elf's hand. Out of breath, he drops to his knees. He is trembling, the terror on his face so unlike his usual dignified manner. What? What was that? That was not the past. That was something that is yet to happen, or rather might happen. One of the roads to the future. In one of the possible futures, this item will help you to cleanse the ward stone or to destroy it. You feel a longing to take the stone chisel and plunge it into your chest, right into the wound that is opened up in it. It is hard to resist this feeling, but at the last moment, your self-preservation instinct takes over, and you manage to keep control of your own hands. The old man stands up. He looks completely stunned. Never before has anything like this happened to me. But how? I am not an oracle or a prophet. Or is this another riddle from the past that has caught up with me? I must find out. Seeing stories that have happened is one thing, but seeing stories that are yet to happen, I don't know why this is happening now, but there's one thing I'm sure of. This is not a coincidence. This is a sign of coming changes, great changes. I shared your vision, and this knife tempted me. Did you see what I saw? This has never happened before. Could it be the magic of the object that you brought me? I sense dark energies in it that can cloud and charm the mind. Be careful with this item. It may have tried to influence you, but you managed to overcome its power and subdue it. Or perhaps something else happened to us. Something we don't yet understand. Can you see the future? I don't know. Obviously, I can, but nothing like this has ever happened to me before. The future never opened its secrets to me before I met you. Gods, who are you and why have our paths crossed? I feel this is not a coincidence. Something momentous is happening. Destiny is pushing us towards something. But what? Questions without answers. I swear, this morning I couldn't have imagined what awaited me. Maybe it's the knife that gives you the power of divination. This knife is a powerful artifact, but I feel that its power is of a different nature. No, I felt the same as I do when I tell the past. This is my gift, but manifested in a completely abnormal way. Is what you saw destined to happen? No, the future is not set. It used to be. A long time ago when the god Oridan guarded Golarion, but not now. Prophecies do not come true, or they do, but not the way they were supposed to. I only saw one version of the future, one of the paths leading to it. But the choice has not been made, and our destinies are not set in stone. Who were you in your vision? I don't know. Someone strong and desperate enough to resort to extreme measures I felt that I was doing had to be done. Your powers are amazing. A few minutes ago, I would have agreed with you, but the thing that has just happened, it disturbs me. My gift has never manifested like this. Something has changed, and these changes frighten me. Can I help you? The storyteller nods gratefully. I appreciate your offer. I have reason to believe that somewhere in Kenebres there is a manuscript authored by an elf from Kyonin who witnessed Earthfall. The storyteller's voice suddenly breaks, and he stops for a moment. For personal reasons, I would like to examine it, but no matter how hard I try, I failed to find it. Even in the Blackwing Library, I only found a mention that the manuscript exists and is held somewhere in the city. I assumed that it's stored at the Great Garrison. They wouldn't let me into the archive when I visited. All those Crusaders were nervous about the strange blind elf interested in their secrets. It's understandable. The Crusade naturally made them a little paranoid. But now the Great Garrison has fallen into the enemy's hands. I would be grateful if I could see the manuscript. I have a few questions about our encounter in the Blackwing Library. Of course. I make no secret of why I came to the library. I was looking for something. What were you doing there? I was looking for a very old thing. Rumor has it, some ancient scroll or a book page about the times of Earthfall is held in Kenebres. According to the legend, it describes the last days of the proud kingdom of Kyonin, later abandoned by the elves fleeing Golarion. I have a vague hope that the event described in it will shed some light on my past. Did you find what you were looking for? The storyteller shakes his head gloomily. Alas, no. But I found proof that the book I'm looking for is in Kenebres, or at least a part of it is. I see. Thank you again for your help. I want to know more about you. The old elf permits himself a faint smile. I am not surprised. A strange, peculiar-looking elf with unusual powers who comes from afar and calls himself a collector of stories. Such things usually spark some interest. I will answer your questions. Who are you, and where are you from? Before, I would have said that I was a blacksmith from Kyonin who lost his sight and then found his true calling in a new craft, that of a story collector. But I have lately begun to suspect that those words are no more than a lie. The old elf chuckles sadly. It's quite the irony. I never thought I'd have cause to complain about my memory. It holds the stories of the entire world, but I've noticed more and more alarming signs recently. I encounter ancient stories and see myself in them. I don't remember those events, but stories cannot lie, so it means that my memory is lying, and I intend to get to the bottom of it. I'm looking for proof that my visions are true, and for the reason why my past has been hidden from me. You look ancient. I thought elves didn't get old. The blind man straightens his bony back with dignity. As you can see, we do if we manage to live for many thousands of years. There may not be a single mortal in this world older than me. The storyteller sighs and continues with a sad smile. Anyway, it's not about time. It's about the stories I keep inside. There is so much suffering and sadness in this world, and in my stories too. I've lived every one of them. I've drunk this bitter experience and accepted it in my heart. It's hard, the weight of all this suffering on my shoulders, but I wouldn't trade my burden for any other. Where did you get your strange powers? The storyteller shrugs. I've always got along well with things. I used to be a blacksmith, that I know for sure. I've always felt the essence of things, their spirit. For as long as I can remember, I have always been able to feel the traces of memories and feelings left on things by their former owners. I don't know where this gift comes from. Maybe, having taken my sight, the gods granted me another sense. Why did you come to the Worldwound? Searching for the truth about my real past has brought me here. I see myself in other stories. In them, I was always called the elf in the tower. Now I'm looking for this tower, my tower, everywhere. I've been to many places. I've visited islands and deserts, but I haven't found it. There are very few uncharted territories on my map. The Worldwound is one of them. How do you collect stories? The same way a court philanderer collects his conquest. The way a healer has a personal cemetery of patients he failed to save. The way every person, including you, has a box of secret, most precious experiences deep down in their soul that no one is allowed to touch. The world is not made of things or matter even. It's made of stories. They move from the past to the future, piercing our world at the point of here and now. They give meaning to everything. They are the meaning, and everything else is only the setting required for stories to exist. There is nothing more real and alive than a story. And anything real and alive can die or be destroyed, distorted, forgotten. But as long as I carry these stories with me, they will not be lost. This is why I don't often share my stories. By sharing one with you, I give you the right to tell it to others, to distort and embellish it advertently or inadvertently. How can I be sure you will keep its original purity? Stories travel from one person to another. They change, become distorted, turn into tall tales. This is why I keep my stories to myself. I have no more questions. That's what you think. In fact, the world is full of amazing things, and you still have a lot of questions. They just haven't bubbled up to the surface of your consciousness yet. Please, examine the items I'm carrying. Perhaps some of them could tell us a story. The storyteller nods politely. Let me touch them, and I'll tell you what I can see. The old elf carefully takes Nenio's sword, Radiance. Powerful forces lie dormant in this sword. It used to belong to an incredibly bright and daring soul. The storyteller's hand runs carefully over the scale that is still not lost its shine. Proud Terindalev, protector of Kennebrest, you devoted your life to serving people. Your death is a great loss. But maybe I will be able to find out something about you that is unknown to your many admirers. The elf looks at you with unusual impatience. Shall we? Present the stone knife. Tell me about its previous owner. Tell me again about the future that might await. We already did all that. Okay. Present Radiance. What do you see in its past? The storyteller touches the blade with his finger. Sadness rings in his voice. Trezin is doomed. Demons attacked right when we lost the protection of the Sword of Valor. My city, my bastion of hope. We built you as a symbol that the lands mutilated by the abyss could still be restored to mortals. Now you are perishing, and there is nothing I can do. We retreat. No, we flee. A frightened crowd rushes out into the night through the southern gate. They are chased by the angry howls of demons, killing the last defenders of the citadel. My heart goes out to them, but I'm standing still on the wall. I am covering the retreat. Demons do not attack. They seethe around you, fall from the sky, strike from all sides at once. They can't be stopped, but they can be distracted. I run to the upper floor of the gate tower. Radiance glows with a golden light in my hands. I permit myself to close my eyes for just one heartbeat. I imagine that the soft glimmering of the sword I see through my closed eyelids is the light of the summer sun. I smile. I open my eyes and I call out, "Hey, Deskari spawn, who wants the best trophy of the night? You know my name, Nenio. You know how many of you I have killed with this very hand. You want to curry favor with Darazan, Monago, or the echo of your lord? Bring them my head, if you can." Roaring and screaming, they rush toward me in a wave of deformed bodies and unfurled wings. The wave crashes against me, spattering my armor with bloody froth. Broken wings and chopped up bodies plummet to the foot of the tower. In the heat of battle, I see Duran's pale face down there. He looks up at me in desperation, but he can't help. He's carrying 2 wounded on his shoulders. My city will fall, but my friends will survive. This is what I am fighting for. I am covering the retreat. The flow of feeling people gradually dwindles. My armor is broken in many places and I cannot heal my wounds anymore. The last demon I stabbed with radiance suddenly recoils, tearing the handle out of my blood-slickened hand. He flies up or falls somewhere far behind the walls, by the road being taken by those fleeing. No more golden glow in my hands. The night closes in on me, filled with shrieking, mocking demon laughter. Dresden, I'm dying with you. Light of the sword, righteous Iomade, accept my soul. Wow, that was awesome. That was awesome. The storyteller runs his hand along the blade with a sad smile. I know whose memory this is. I've heard about her so many times. Nenio was a true crusader. Touching her memories is so cleansing. Do you see the future of this sword? Just one of the numerous possibilities. The blind elf touches the sword hilt and metal rings in his voice. I slide out of the sheath swiftly. I proudly watch the army of warriors led by my lord. I sing, slashing the air, putting courage in their hearts. I am radiance. Tremble, city of Dresden. My lady Nenio has perished, but I am not done yet. Charge! The storyteller returns the sword to you. It is nice to know that this sword's glory days are not over. It is many battles ahead. Take care of it. It is a glorious sword. Show Terendilev's scale to the storyteller. Tell me about Terendelev. The storyteller takes a deep breath and smiles. I am flying. I can finally spread my wings. I am gliding over a broad river. The sunset has turned its surface smooth like a mirror, and I see my reflection. It is as if another silver dragon is rising to meet me from the depths. But what is it? The scales on my chest are black, and the darkness is spreading over my body. I wake up. A clear sky sways above me, blazing with heat. I am in human form. The red dust of the wound clings to my cracked lips. Someone is carrying me on a stretcher made of shields and spears. I am so weak, I can barely lift my hand to my face. The sight of my own hand terrifies me. It is black, and the skin glistens like scales melted by fire. I probably ought to cry, but I only feel hatred and nausea. All these people around me. Out of sympathy for them did I choose to leave the mountains. I gave up my flights over rivers. I went to the demon's lair. They don't have a scratch on them, but I am infected with foulness. It's not fair. My life is more precious than their pathetic existence. Oh, how I hate them in this moment. And then I suddenly feel shame. No. These are not my thoughts. The Crusaders carrying me are my good friends. I'm glad they do not suffer. But I hate them and myself so much. Pain and hatred pierce me all at once. It's all because of them. All because of them. Someone walking beside me touches me, talks to me, but the only thing I hear is, your mentor. He will come. He will help. And I lose consciousness. The storyteller takes a deep breath, exiting the vision. Such hatred from Terendelev. Wasn't she on our side? Terendelev has come a long way. Her unit was ambushed by demons once, and she was infected with foulness. The Terendelev you met in Kennebrez had gone through many trials and regained her former purity. What happened next? The storyteller puts his hand to his forehead. Sometimes the past can be as vague as the future. We all know how Terendelev's story ended, but the beginning is hidden from us. Maybe, if you find something else that used to belong to her, we will know more about her struggle. However, no matter what we learn, remember, her soul, the soul of a true dragon, overcame every obstacle, endured every torment. she was able to purify herself, for dragons are truly powerful, not only in body, but in spirit too. We have more important things to do. Return with new stories. I will be waiting. I have to go. I wish you interesting adventures. All right. Love those interludes with the storyteller, hearing more, not only his past, but different past stories of things that have happened around Golarion. It is always worth collecting those elven pages to unlock more of what he has to say. Great, great stuff. I've seen how the other soldiers treat you. I don't think we actually saw it in the times where I had saved and loaded, but there's a sequence where 3 soldiers come over to him and basically said the queen should have had him executed, and that they wish they could kill him, and that he doesn't belong in the Crusade. What about it? The dwarf's tone makes it clear that he has no interest in your actions. Guilty or not, they have no right to treat you that way. What rights does a traitor have? Staunton shrugs indifferently. I have to go. You know what? Actually, I did save. I didn't look at those options thoroughly. I think actually the other option is closer. Now that I've thought this through, let me make sure I say that, or I did all this right. Yep. Okay, cool. Talk to him. I've seen. Yeah, he has no respect for Staunton Vane. This is someone playing someone who truly believes in the Crusade and has little regard for those who would allow themselves to be tricked by demons into doing something so foolish and so costly. So I wouldn't have gone so easy on you. Maybe you'll get your chance to do just that. Staunton shrugs indifferently. I have to go. Go on then, maybe we'll see each other again. Yeah. Boy, I am pleased with you. I asked you to bring me to safety, and that's exactly what you did. Indeed, having a follower to aid me is most efficient and, frankly, pleasing. With you on hand, I shall conquer new horizons, plumb the depths of knowledge hitherto unknown, and scale the dizzying heights of future discoveries. Nenio stops to catch her breath. What I mean is, I'd like to express my deepest gratitude. I foresee immense potential in our future cooperation. Happy to help. Hand in hand, we will unravel the greatest mysteries inaccessible to the minds of ordinary people. Just imagine it. I, leading the way, proudly staring into the faces of the gods themselves, and you, my loyal follower, walking behind me every step of the way, writing down my deepest thoughts and admiring the profundity of my intellect. If we hold hands, you won't be able to go in front of me and lead the way. You are the catalyst, which, when it reacts with my intellect, will allow the latter to grasp the very essence of the universe itself. Do you always express your delight so effusively? What? Who are you? Nenio stares at you for a while, bewilderment in her eyes, but then it is replaced by recognition. Oh, yes, my new follower. So, what am I supposed to do? Oh, yes, I must provide some verbal encouragement for your as yet modest achievements and try to induce you to strive for more of such encouragement. That is the principle that underpins any training. She frowns, but only for an instant. Ah, I see. Your modest nature was unsettled by the overabundance of my gratitude. I do apologize for putting you in such an awkward position. I will never praise you again, unless I forget. But let's go back to the business at hand. Your new assignment will be to take me to the inconspicuous ruins that are located in an even more inconspicuous valley lying between Kinebras and Dresden, as soon as it is reasonably practicable. I'll mark the place on your map with a large red cross so you won't forget it. What's so special about these ruins near Kinebras? I'm glad you asked. This is my greatest hypothesis, my secret project, and I won't pass up the opportunity to share it with you because you are my most loyal follower and you are worthy of possessing such knowledge. Nenio rubs her nose. And also because you are the first person to ever ask me about it. Some time ago, I was walking around the border of the Worldwound and I met a strange person. He was wearing a fraying gray robe and his face was hidden behind an odd white mask. Of course, I didn't miss the opportunity to ask him about the reasons for his absurd appearance. And do you know what he said to me? He said, "I am the answer, but what is the question?" Then he walked off in the direction of the Worldwound. The next day, after I had already forgotten about the first encounter, I had another similar encounter. This time, I met an elven woman, judging by the pointy ears sticking out from behind the mask. "I am the answer, but what is the question?" she said, before taking off toward the Worldwound. And then I realized everything became clear to me. I know a mystery when I see one. Consider this one of my myriad talents. Nenio rubs the tip of her nose. After all these geysers weren't simply on their way to a costume party, were they? After examining several maps, I determined that they were all heading in one direction, to a place not far from Kennebrus, a place which is marked as Nameless Ruins, even on ancient Sarkorian maps. That's where I need to go. Unraveling the secret of that place will be my greatest discovery. It will secure my place in history, or perhaps even in legend. How do you know where we have to go? Do you know how to find a beehive in a forest? You need to catch 2 bees, set them free in 2 different locations of the forest, and remember the directions they fly in. Then you take a map and draw lines showing the bees' routes. The place where the lines intersect will mark the location of the beehive. Fascinating, yes? By the way, forest bees do not make any honey. Nenio sighs. I use the beehive principle here too. For a couple of months, I tracked the strange people in the mask and observed the direction in which they were traveling. I collected the coordinates, mapped their estimated routes, and made a discovery. All the routes intersected at the Nameless Ruins not far from Kennebrus. What do you expect to find there? I haven't the slightest idea. If I knew what was hidden there, I wouldn't be so eager to go. These ruins aren't very far from Kennebrus. You could easily get there all by yourself. Why do you need me? Nenio's eyes seem ready to pop out of their sockets in surprise. Don't you see? This is a legendary secret place. Who knows what may happen to me after I lift the veil and uncover the workings of the universe? My mortal body may be unable to contain all that knowledge, or perhaps I will ascend and become equal to the gods themselves. I need you to write it down, everything that happens, and report my fate to the interested parties in Absalom. And don't forget to praise me as I deserve while you're there. You know, these ruins of yours may turn out to be just that, ruins. Nenio shrugs. In that case, we'll write this experiment off as a failure and start another one. I don't know which experiment I'll try next. That's all I want to know about your task. Well, now you know. So, off we go. Nenio frowns. Did I just make a rhyme? Perhaps I've discovered poetic talent in myself. Let's conduct an experiment. Quickly, say any word and I'll try to find a rhyme for it right away. Iomade. Says Deskari, go away. If you play, you need to pay. Every shade of color gray. Not the best rhymes, don't you think? Well, this experiment was unsuccessful. We learned that I have no poetic talent after all. Nenio sighs. But it's no reason to despair. Having a gift of poetry in addition to my inexhaustible intelligence would have been a little too much. Besides, I am catastrophically busy and have no time to spend on writing poetry. I don't like it when you call me boy. My name is Professor Snape. On the grand scale of world history, your name is irrelevant. I have no reason to remember it. You see, the brain of any given individual can contain only a limited amount of facts. I only expend my memory on things that are truly important. The laws of thermodynamics, divine esoterica, planar geography, things that will lead Golarion to a brighter future. Nenio rubs her nose. Besides, what if I make a great discovery, but I won't be able to remember it because my memory is full of outdated or useless information. What a nightmare that would be. What a loss for the whole of Golarion. But you do remember your own name, right? Only so I know what to put for the author's name in my encyclopedia. Are there any names worth remembering? There are, and to my deepest regret, there are too many of them. Nenio heaves a sigh that would befit a grief-stricken old man. The names of gods and demigods, the names of rulers, conquerors, and other persons, by some reason deemed great by the people of Golarion, they etch their names into history, and, alas, every self-respecting, educated person must know them. But there are some names I am happy to remember. Great scientists, some of them divine, others mortal, true keepers of knowledge, and great experimentalists, the pioneers of knowledge, Aurori, Nethys, Areelu Vorlesh. Areelu Vorlesh opened the Worldwound. She's the betrayer of humanity. It's her fault the demons invaded Golarion. Oh yes, she is the greatest of the greatest. Just imagine, she managed to open a rift from Golarion to the abyss. No one knew how. No one believed it possible. No one even dreamed of such a thing. And she just did it. It was the experiment of the century. Nenio wipes a tear from her eye. I would have been so happy if I could have been in her place. Of course, some part of Golarian's population died as a result of her experiment, and the Crusaders are still wrestling with its consequences to this day, but the very essence of what Areelu managed to do was a breakthrough of cosmic significance, both figuratively and literally. Sooner or later, the Worldwound will be closed. Peace will return to Golarion. As for the victims of the ongoing war, they will be remembered as unfortunate but unavoidable sacrifices made at the altar of science. You're crazy. Nenio blinks at you, perplexed. Were we talking about something? Tell me about yourself. I am an explorer, a pilgrim, a yet-to-be-recognized scientific luminary, future author of the Encyclopedia Golarion, and rector of all Absalom's universities at once. Future rector, I should say. Nenio speaks in one breath, as if reeling off a practice monologue. That information should be enough to satisfy your curiosity, because I doubt I would be able to tell you more than that. Where are you from? That information is irrelevant. I decided to forget it. How did you become a scientist? That information is irrelevant. I've decided to forget it. You have a circle tattooed on your shoulder. What does it mean? Nenio casts a sidelong glance at her shoulder. Oh, that. I do not remember the circumstances of its creation, but I like it. I prefer to think of it as zero, null, nothing, a center point, an origin of coordinates. It reminds me how much of the unknown the world there is to explore. Don't you remember how you got this tattoo? That information is irrelevant. I've decided to forget it. How can you just decide to forget important pieces of information? This is just one of my many talents. The secret is to stop thinking about the thing you want to forget. And the main thing is not to remember anything you don't need, to filter it, to get right to the essence. I'll teach you someday, unless I forget. What is this encyclopedia you're working on? The Encyclopedia Golarion will be published in 100 volumes, 1,000 pages each, plus the author's addenda, appendices added by future co-authors, and critical commentaries. Addenda indexation is still in question. Nenio looks slightly embarrassed. I just like the number 100, but I'm not sure that I'll be able to keep within the established word limit. It will be a magisterial piece of scholarship that would become a part of the mandatory curriculum of every educational institution worth mentioning. In it, I intend to describe every object, item, event, fact, and personality that is present on or at least somehow related to Golarion. My calculations show that I have completed no more than 1% of this monumental book. Do you remember your parents, your past, or is that all irrelevant too? All of it is irrelevant on the grand scale of world history. I have no reason to remember such things. I admire the capabilities of your memory. Daniel stays silent and gives you a puzzled look. What? What were we talking about? I'll stop torturing you with questions for now. Eh? What were we talking about? I'd like to clarify a few things about your new task. Your craving for knowledge will be immediately satisfied. Ask away. That's all I want to know about your task. And I have to go. Nenio produces a crumpled piece of paper from her sleeve and takes some notes on it. This conversation lasted approximately 5 minutes. She lifts her chin. By the way, did you know that is the exact same amount of time the Inquisitors of Kenebris need to find a defendant guilty? But to shake off Inquisitors chasing you takes 5 times as long. That experiment proved that running while clad in heavy armor is not burdensome for them at all. Nenio is great from the very, very beginning. Nenio is absolutely fantastic, real standout character. Absolutely out of her mind, and I love to see it. Love to see it, love to watch it. All right, actually, no, not land. Nope, she doesn't have anything, but you should, right? I thank you for saving the esteemed citizens of Kenebris, even though not all of them deserve to be saved. May Iomedae forgive my words. Irabeth casts a meaningful look at Count Arende, sitting at a nearby table. I don't really mean that, of course. I just never fail to be astounded by the way that good people seem to perish while the not so good proved to be incredibly, amazingly enduring. Even so, the Count did offer me his aid. He can't be all that bad. Yes, that's not like him at all. Joining the Crusades is a tradition among Mendevian nobles, but Darren Arende was never too keen on fighting demons. The Count has a certain reputation in Mendev. He's not a pleasant individual by any means, but he's not known for any particular villainy either. The Count enjoys a life of leisure, surrounded by a gaggle of sycophants who are always eager to badmouth the Queen in his command. He likes settling scores, too. There was a hero of the First Crusade, Sir Lant, a kind and honest man. After the end of his glorious career as a soldier, he became a wise mentor to the younger generation. He ran afoul of the Count somehow, perhaps by lecturing him about his idle lifestyle and a lack of purpose. When Sir Lant died, the Count managed to buy a portion of his estate and ordered the knight's helmet to be reforged into a chamber pot. And, of course, he didn't keep his little joke private. The Queen was particularly affronted by it, because Sir Lant used to be her most loyal comrade in arms. I was there receiving an assignment from Her Majesty and witnessed the exact moment she found out about the helmet's fate. It's a small thing, but I could see the Queen's anguish at the travesty that had been made of her friend's legacy. That's what our Count is like as a person. And as for his talent for survival, did you know the story of Heaven's Edge? He was the only member of his family to escape with his life when the demons unleashed a magical plague at the Arende estate. Could you tell me more about the events at Heaven's Edge? I don't know all the details. It happened a while ago, back when I was a mercenary and had nothing to do with Kenebris. I only know that there was a grand feast in honor of Darren's birthday, and all his relatives were invited along with a few other distinguished guests. Everyone died from a mysterious disease someone had unleashed on the estate, including the servants, the guards, and a number of clerics and paladins. But the young Count survived. Because of his healing ability, I suppose. Darren does possess an unusually brilliant talent, even as the application of his skills leaves much to be desired. Irabeth scowls. Why is he trying to provoke the Queen? Who knows? It could be some family matter. The Count is Her Majesty's cousin twice removed or something like that. But I think he simply enjoys infuriating people. Crusaders and Iomedae's servants especially. Thank you for telling me all this. My pleasure. I'm sorry you had to endure my grumbling. Watching these things happen in my city has put me in a foul mood. What is our... the Tower of Estrada has been cleared of demons. What? 6. There we go. Great. The places where the demons have gathered need to be cleared one by one. Then they won't be able to stab us in the back when we take on the Gary Garrison. Thank you for your service. What is our strategy for the attack on the Grey Garrison? I shall lead the rest of my forces in a frontal assault. This will distract the enemy enough to let you use the secret passage and reach the ward stone. Destroy it before the demons turn Iomedae's gift into a weapon of the abyss. Most of the allies you found will join my forces, but you can expect a certain amount of support from them. The Order of the Flaming Lance counts among its members both valiant knights and masters of the occult. We're about to test an experimental ritual they developed. Should it all go according to plan, your party will have a serious advantage during the battle at the Great Garrison. In these dark days, the most unlikely allies join forces to fight the common foe. All tieflings are treated with prejudice to Kenebras, let alone the smugglers and the thieves of their kind. And yet, they are on our side, and I'll make sure their contribution is not forgotten after the victory. They'll be of little use in open combat, but they'll help you spot secret doors and warn you about traps. There's a traitor I'm trying to track down. Who is your informant among the tieflings? Irabeth arches her brows in surprise. Kenebras is threatened by a demon horde, and you have enough spare time to help out thieves? Irabeth sighs. I don't like this, but I hope you know what you're doing. I'll tell you everything I know. I did not see my informant's face. He slipped out of a dark alley, handed me the note, and disappeared. Irabeth hesitates as she tries to remember. He had a cloak with a hood masking his face, but the horns, the long horns, didn't fit under it. There should be a guardian golem in Ancient Trees and Wonders, the shop they tried to rob. The owner gave us the construct's code word just in case. The golem itself was destroyed, but the head seems to be intact, so you can interrogate the thing and find out what it saw. The code word is Hand of Irori. The shop's owner must have escaped, but there's a chance you'll get lucky with the golem. All right. So you see, we do have the option of just heading on to the Great Garrison, and the Great Garrison is the final quest of the act, but you miss out on a bunch of extra content if you do it that way. Go. May I am a day keep you safe. And I would prefer to go ahead and get that content done. Hopefully without doing the Defender's hard art. We'll see. And now we can go speak with... There we go. All right, but that will be next episode. I think that's enough for one day. Hope all of you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave me a like down below and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I will see you all in the next video. Take care.